You know what I could really go for right now? Literally anything that comes in a McDonald's carton, wrapper, or bag. Or a McDonald's cup. Yes, any of those items should do it.
We've got your cravings covered. Now stop in for the flaky Filet-O-Fish, the crispy snack wrap, or large fries for just $2.99. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
¿Quieres mejor internet? Cox Internet de 300 megas tiene las velocidades rápidas y confiables que buscas. Perfecto para streaming y gaming y trabajar desde casa. Todo por solo $45 al mes cuando agregas Cox Mobile. Incluye equipo de Wi-Fi y garantía de precio de 2 años en tu plan. No esperes. Cámbiate hoy a Cox. Requiere Cox Mobile Gig Unlimited. Garantía de precio no incluye impuestos y cargos. Velocidad de datos móviles se reduce después de 20 gigas al mes.
He's an old head.
Youngins are really starting to get on my damn nerves.
He's a purveyor of nonsense. He's a Georgia High School coaching job influencer. His favorite Bible verse is, Jesus wept. He's the man of constant sorrow, Chris Lamb.
Yeah.
Welcome to Sun Coaches Podcast, and today I have a Georgia coaching legend with us, over 300 wins and multiple state championships, Coach Rich McWhorter. Thanks for being with us.
I'm glad to be on.
Well, Coach, tell everybody where you grew up.
Well, I was born and raised in Effingham, Illinois, which is about 100 miles east of St. Louis and about 200 miles south of Chicago. So pretty much in the middle of the state. Played high school football at Effingham High School, and after that went and played football at Eastern Illinois. In high school, I did football, track, the normal football guy things, and then at Eastern just played football. Wasn't a real good college football player. I was probably at a higher level than I should have been at, but still I learned a lot and met a lot of great people. And I really, it really added to, further my career as far as a football coach.
Who was your college coach?
What's that?
Who was your college coach?
Al Moldy. Al Moldy was the head coach at the time. In my same class, our starting quarterback was Sean Payton, same coach who's with the Denver Broncos. So we had a really good group of players, a lot of talent. We had, I believe it was my senior year, we got beat in the national semifinals, I believe, if I remember right, by Eastern Kentucky. Had a lot of had some real good years. Like I said, my biggest thing was when I left high school, I knew I wanted to be a high school football coach. I had a great influence from my high school coach, Drew Potoff, who's one of my best friends right now. And when I went to Eastern, I knew that I wanted to be a high school head football coach one day, and I knew that coaching was going to be my thing. And so I really, every opportunity I had at Eastern to really absorb, knowledge and really observe coaches, how they do things. And, it was a great opportunity, and I couldn't ask for a better place to be for that.
So what was your first job out of college?
Was at Charlton County High School.
How did that come about?
Well, whenever I finished playing at Eastern Illinois, I stayed on that spring. I graduated at semester, and I stayed on that spring as a graduate assistant type guy. And my plans were to come back that next year and be a GA for the full year at Eastern Illinois. Well, At night I was working at a YMCA, and this was before computers. Now, this was back in 1986, 87. Um, Computers were more like word processors back then. Well, anyway, the executive director at the YMCA told me, he says, "Here, let's sit down and make you a resume." And I said, "Well, okay, let's do it." So I made a resume, and then he said, "Listen, push this button, it'll print. I got envelopes over there, I got stamps over there." I said, "Start applying for jobs." So I figured, I'm working at night at a YMCA, I might as well. And I got the listing from our placement office at Eastern, and I started sending resumes out. Just, if nothing else, just to fight boredom, working at night. And then it was kind of middle of July, I got a call from Kenny Moore, who's the head football coach at Charlton County High School, say, "I got your resume here, and we need a offensive and defensive line coach, uh, health teacher, biology, and PE, and I'd like to talk to you." So I thought, well, okay. It was just so happening in 2 days I was flying out to Washington D.C. to visit. She's my wife now, but she was my girlfriend then. She worked in Washington D.C. So I flew out to D.C. We got in her car, got on I-95, drove down to Kingsland, Georgia, took a ride on a Highway 40, went over to Folkestone, Georgia, met with Kenny Moore, and for about an hour and a half. And the only thing I remember was how hot it was, more than anything. And I wore a suit, and I'm wishing I was about to sweat through the thing. So we drove back to DC, spent a couple of days in DC, and we were walking down a sidewalk, and there were some pay phones, and I picked up the pay phone and used my. Back then we didn't have cell phones back then. Remember, you had those uh, phone cards. And so I called Kenny Moore, and he says, "I'm glad you called me, because we'd like to offer you the job." And I thought, well, and he said, I said, "Well, tell me about it." He told me about, the position again, and so forth. And he said, "Listen, coach 2 sports, teach." I think the whole thing was like $19,000 for teaching, coaching, everything. To me, that sounded like the most money in the world. And especially growing up, I didn't have much money. Always had a job, but didn't have any money. And so I went back to Eastern, talked to Brock Spack, who's the head coach at Illinois State right now, who was going to be the position coach I was going to work under. He said, "Listen, go ahead, take this job, see what you think. Things don't work out, you can always come back." So jumped in the car, drove down to Southeast Georgia, and that first year we had 19 kids play football, and I think we went 3-7, 8-2. I can't remember, but anyway, it was a kind of tough year football wise. It was the first year as a player or anything that I've ever been associated with a losing season. So it was a tough year. And then come that winter time, I was looking for another job, thought about going back to Eastern and that sort of thing. And then after Christmas, getting ready for spring ball in May, Kenny Moore came to me and he says, "Hey, listen, I'm leaving. I'm going to LaGrange to be an assistant coach, tennis coach, and so forth." And so I went to the principal's office and talked to him, and he said, "Listen," he goes, "we'll consider you for this head coaching job." And so I thought, well, I'll stick around for that. And then went through spring practice. I did spring by myself, no other assistants, just me. And we had about 30 players that spring go through it. And then that summer, our superintendent left, our principal left, new principal, new superintendent came in, and they brought Jeff Lee, who was going to be the new head football coach. And so that was a kind of a surprise to me when they walked in the field house and they all introduced themselves, and I had no idea the others just left. And then Jeff Lee said I can stick around, be the defensive coordinator, and I did, and we had a pretty good year. Went 5-5, had a good year on defense, had some really good defensive players. And then again at Christmas time, Jeff Lee decided he was going to leave. So by then, this is my second year at Charlton County. I've grown to really like the place. So I went in and talked to the principal, who was Robert Carroll, and he said, "Listen, I'll write your name down on a list, and we'll I'm going to interview whoever we can get to apply for this job, and we'll go from there." So about 2 weeks later, I walked in to the office, and I said, "Listen, I just want to check on how things were going on the search." And he looked at me and he says, "Hey, job's yours. Nobody wants this job. It's the worst job in the state of Georgia. They've only won 25 games in the decade of the 80s. He goes, your job. You can have it." So, so first thing I did was I knew we had to get a strength program. We just really didn't have a strength program. We were working out of a closet in the back of the gym, and that was number one thing is strength program. Had to get the kids stronger. Had to get them, develop some confidence in themselves in the weight room, and have competition in that room. I knew if we can become competitive in there, we had a better chance to be competitive on the field. Well, that year we ended up going 11-3, and we were state runner-up. Lost to Lincoln County in the state championship game 6-0.
And how old were you then, Coach?
Shoot, I'd have to do some math here, but I was in my early 20s now, and then from then on, stayed at Charlton County. Just things got better. Was able to build really good coaching staffs. Was able to build a new weight room facility. The football stadium had a lot of improvements. The splash tax really helped all that. And for quite a while there, we were going through a lot of administrators down there, but I had some really good administrators along and along. Robin Hines was one of our principals. I had an excellent athletic director. That's one thing that was consistent was I had the same athletic director from beginning to end. And that was Jesse Cruz. He's in the Athletic Directors Hall of Fame in Georgia, as well he should be. He did a great job, and we really had a great run of players, and I had a great run of assistant coaches. We had a lot of support, even if some years when we were kind of in between administration, sometimes the best support is when you just get people to leave you alone and let you do your job. But then I did have, like I said, Robin Hines, who was very involved, is a great administrator for football. And then a former player of mine, Josh Howard, was a principal. And then John Laracy was a principal and the superintendent while I was there, and did a great job
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. The rush of racing? Nothing beats it. But Chumba Casino comes close. Chumba's got fast spins, fun games, daily bonuses, and all the action you can handle. Now that's a ride. Ready to hit the throttle? Get in the driver's seat and head to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
For really all of our programs. But thing at Charlton County, we were a small school, which was great to work in. You knew every kid, you knew every teacher, you knew all the players' parents, and so forth. And I was there long enough where I was coaching second generation players. And not only football was good, but we were good in boys basketball, girls basketball, baseball won state championships, track won state championships. So, we had a terrific band, probably the best band for single A in the state, without a doubt, I believe. And great cheerleading programs. Girls softball program was good. It was a great place to raise my two daughters, and great place to be for 30 years.
So, what was your favorite part of being in such a, I mean, other than what you just said, I mean, is there anything that sticks out as far as building it? I mean, because you literally built it from the ground up.
Well, you know, I think everybody would agree it's all about the people. It's all about the players, the coaches, the parents, the families. It's all about this. It's people business is what it is. It's the kid business. It's people business. Um, you take it day by day. You're going to have some great days. You're going to have some awful days, and you may have all that in the same week in education. I mean, you're in education. I mean, for an example, you may think you're ready to play and you go out there and get blown out, or you may have the worst week of practice you've ever had. Everything that can go wrong did go wrong. You probably spent more time in the principal's office than the kids have. And next thing you know, Friday rolls around and you just have a great game and everything's perfect with the world again. And so it's that's the thing I remember is those, and those special teams and the special kids and those coaches. And I've had some terrific coaches. Jason Strickland was an assistant of mine who's just doing an incredible job at Ware County. And I had a longtime assistant coach, Bill Pitt, who's now retired, who Bill just did an incredible job with the offense, defensive line, and weight room. And then at the end, I had a lot of former players of mine who went off to college. And I think just they had such a great high school experience. They chose they wanted to be high school teachers and high school coaches. So most of my staff was former players of mine. And still to this day, there's a lot of former players in the community. And one of my former players is now the athletic director there, Dusty Phillips. And being a small town, it's Dusty's dad's the sheriff, and yeah, I mean, you really knew everybody in a small town like that. And um, really miss that part of coaching. It's really something you don't have up here in Northeast Georgia at the bigger schools. You just don't have that kind of relationships with the faculty and the players, and even you had great relationships with even non-football players in the school because you knew them, you knew everybody, and I really missed that when I came up here.
Well, I know y'all were very innovative. I remember watching you guys when Bama was y'all's running back or quarterback, and I remember watching y'all in the dome, and all of us that weren't very good were sitting up in the mezzanine watching y'all, and y'all had like 10 guys on the line of scrimmage. He's at 7 yards, snap it to him, and we're like, what are they doing? What is that? What kind of offense is that? And I remember Coach Caldwell telling everybody that apparently y'all knew what y'all were doing because y'all were down there and we were sitting up there. So shut up and try to learn something. But y'all weren't afraid to try different things. Y'all weren't a wing T team. You weren't an I team. You weren't a spread team. You were whatever put your kids in the best position to be successful.
You're exactly right. Over my tenure, especially at Charlton County, my first year we were in double tight wishbone and we were reading the veer. And my first year as head coach, we only had a handful of plays, and I spent a week. Actually, it was the week before I got married. I spent at Northern Illinois with Jerry Pettibone, and he goes back. He was an assistant of Barry Switzer back in the wishbone days. So I spent a week up in Northern Illinois, DeKalb, Illinois, and studying the wishbone. And then I brought it back to Charlton County. And that first year, we were double tight wishbone, and we kept the ball a long time. We didn't score a lot of points with it. And then had a big senior class that first year. Then the next year, we were in the I formation. And then for a while after that, we were eye and gun and different things like that. And then we got into some unbalanced things, and then we got into the pure spread and got into the air raid stuff with when Hal Mummy was over and Leach were over at Valdosta State, which was just on the other side of the swamp. We would go over and spend time with them. And like you said, when we had Bama, I had Bama Adams and Kevin Davis. Kevin Davis, who is a really good player for Georgia Southern. We had those guys would alternate quarterback almost every play. And it got to the point where it didn't matter. And that was in 1999. We won the state championship at Lincoln County that year. And it got to the point to where I didn't care which one of those two was at quarterback. The other one had to go play wide receiver. And they were both just identical athletes. Both of them could really run, same height, same weight. Both of them had great arms, great legs, and all that kind of stuff. And so we did things like that. One year we broke almost all the state records in passing. I think it was 2003, where we just didn't have a running back. I mean, you got small programs. We just got to a place where our offensive line wasn't real good. We didn't have any running backs. So I talked to a coach up in Illinois, where I was from, and he was running an offense where he had the quarterback 8 yards deep and had no running backs and threw the ball every down, just threw it every down. That first game of the year, we came out in the I formation, tried to, and we got beat by Camden County a lot to nothing. That very next week, I said, we got to do something different, guys. Our offensive line can't hold up. We don't have running backs that can do this. We have wide receivers, and we have a quarterback with a great arm. So I talked to this guy, and 1 week we put that in, and we didn't lose again until the state championship game. And Jeremy Privet was the quarterback, and I think he still actually might hold a few passing records in the state. If not, I know he's pretty far up there. And then the very next year, we had a bunch of sophomores, and that's when we went to the air raid, because all that group graduated, and we had a bunch of the best group of sophomores that I've ever been around, the best class I've ever been around. And those guys won 3 state championships in a row, sophomores on. And they did that in AA. That year we got moved to AA. So it was, one of those things where our enrollment didn't go up, but the classifications got all slid around. So we slid in the bottom of AA, but yet we were still able to have a lot of success. Beat Buford twice, both times up here at their place. I don't know if a lot of teams can say they've done that, but again, we just had some terrific players, some fantastic assistant coaches, and a lot of support from the community and the administration.
Yeah, we used to joke around all the time, all the other coaches, that you had the Bailey boys. You had Champ and Boss, and the little-known brother that most people didn't know about was Swole Bailey.
Ronald?
No, there was a third. We always said there was a fourth one that the rest of the state didn't know that you had, that was coming, and we called him Swole Bailey. That he was actually better than the other 3. You just wasn't telling anybody about him. And it was like a running joke because there was such a run of them and they were so good. So we were making up kids' names and telling everybody. We were like, Coach, he's got all these. We would tell other coaches, we're like, y'all don't understand. Y'all became like mythical. We're like making up players' names when y'all would make the playoffs. Oh yeah, he's got this. He's got another Bailey down there. Don't worry. We're just making up people. Oh yeah, Jeremy Privet's got 2 little brothers. Yeah, they're great. They're good too. Y'all are in trouble.
Well,
Bama's got a brother named Memphis. Y'all better get ready for him. He's good too.
Yeah,
we're making up things, and these North Georgia coaches are like, "You're kidding." Oh, no. Coach has got them down there now. It's a moccasin nest.
Well, I tell you, we during all that time, what's so strange about things now, and you know, and so forth, is we didn't have any kids move in, but we didn't have any kids move out either. Uh, down there it was just there had nowhere for anybody to go. They weren't going to Camden, and Camden kids weren't coming to us, so that's it was kind of locked in down there around the swamp.
Yeah, they really couldn't get anywhere else. I mean, it's too far.
No,
Back then it's just different. It's changed
no,
so much.
but we really had such a great run of players and all that, and at the end, I know people ask why'd I ever leave and why'd I come up here, but uh, you know, it, I was the only one most of the time in the weight room, uh, all those 30 years, and it really became a little bit kind of became. You ever seen the movie Groundhog Day?
Oh yes, sir. One of my favorite movies.
Yeah, where every day was kind of the same, and it's really kind of got that way with me, and it was really kind of getting wore out as far as just the same old thing over and over, and and I either had to look at either I'm going to be done or I got to go somewhere else just for a change of scenery. And looking back, maybe I shouldn't have left. I mean, but because we did have it so good, but still, I just felt like I needed that change of scenery. And then on top of that, my youngest daughter, Hagen, wanted to go to school at the University of North Georgia up in DeLon.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
And I knew that my wife and her couldn't stand to be that far apart. So anyway, it just kind of worked out. We ended up here, and for the last for 4 years, and then that was it. And I've been.
So where
really
did you go? Tell everyone where you went after Charlton County.
Went to Jackson County High School here out, between Jefferson and Houston. So we didn't have a lot of success. I think we did some good things. We grew the program. My first year we had 64 kids, and my last year we had 138 kids in the program. It's one of the fastest growing areas. The school went from 3A to 6A within 2 years. And, talent wise, we weren't able to keep up with that type thing. And they hadn't had a lot of success in the past. I think they're going to, do a lot better. They hired a really good coach, Kevin Mobbs, outstanding coach. And I think he's doing some good things over there. But after I had 35 years in, I figured, well, might be best to step away from it. And I think everybody agreed to that. And so it's been just over a year since I retired. And retirement ain't what it's cracked up to be. Everybody says, they can't wait to do it. But once you do it, boy, you sure miss the coaches. You sure miss the kids. You sure miss Friday night. You don't really miss the non-athletic administrators. You don't really miss some of the parents who think their 5'9" kid can play for Kirby Smart. You don't miss those people, but you really miss Friday night. You miss putting together a team. I've always been a guy that enjoyed the organization part of it. Some coaches will talk like that's not what they enjoy. That's something I've always enjoyed. I've enjoyed putting together a calendar, a year calendar. I've enjoyed, putting together schedules, hiring coaches. I even enjoyed the equipment part of it, put together a good equipment room and having the kids and the best stuff and so forth. Even the fundraising part I enjoyed, so that was never a problem for me. But it's there's times where I keep thinking about I may want to do it again, but it needs to be the right place. It needs to be a place where you have a chance to win. I mean, everybody wants that. I understand, but there's just some places it's tough, and it's always going to be tough, and it always has been tough to win. And I'd like to get back into a situation where maybe win some more games, and if it happens, that'd be great. If it doesn't happen, I guess I need to figure out something to do. I've got a set of golf clubs I haven't used in 5 years. I got 3 fishing poles that haven't been used in 2 years, so I may have to break them out. I don't know.
Well, Coach Dudley said that some places are 5-5 places for a reason, and some places are 8-2, 9-1 places for a reason.
Yeah, I've had those same conversations with Coach Dudley. He's tell you what, if any young coach out there ever wants to learn football, learn about life, learn about anything, Coach Dudley's the guy to do it. He'll tell you about it.
Well, we talked about, too, over the years, how much things have changed in the coaching universe. And a lot of the guests that I've had and we've talked to, especially the older guys, what are some things you've noticed, good or bad, that you see that's just so much different? I mean, especially someone like you that started out and got their first head coaching job at 24, 25 years old, and like you said, has run a spring practice by yourself before. You know, basically baptism by fire for you back then, which now these guys that think they can do it, I don't know if they can.
Well, I think a lot of different ways to go with that. As far as things that have changed, it's, the money in the game has changed. You'll see that there's programs that have a lot of resources, and and there's still some that don't. But the kind of money that people are able to put into their athletic programs, football programs have changed. Facilities have just really taken off in a lot of places. Who'd have ever thought 20, 30 years ago that there'd be high schools with indoor football facilities and weight rooms as big as gymnasiums and things such as that. And you'd have guys on your staff that are just in charge of I don't know, organization or whatever, things such as that. I mean, I've seen on something where high school has a chief of staff just for the staff. I don't know what that person would do, but I've seen things like that. But that has changed, and I would say that kids have changed, but I know that people say that kids are the same no matter what. Well, I don't know if that's all true, because down in southeast Georgia, those kids, they love football. January, February, year round is what I'm saying. And they love football all week long. They would do what it took on Mondays and Tuesdays to have a chance to win on Fridays. And then, get up here and kids want to win on Friday about 5:30 in the evening. They'll start getting ready. But you don't get as many of them that want to be successful in January and February that you did. And also, and just the toughness of kids, I've changed a little bit. I believe, some of my old coaches and I will talk about stories of high school kids who they wouldn't let you know they were hurt. They wouldn't miss a practice. They wouldn't even think of missing a game. And now a kid will let you know right away. He's got I don't know if he Googles what a concussion is, or if he Googles what a high ankle sprain is, but he'll give you the definition to it and says he has it. So, some of that thing has changed, but that's just me, an old school guy, talking like that. I mean, that's changed, and who'd ever, I can remember those Saturday mornings real early when you go in there and you grab those copies of VHS tapes. You're driving all over the state, all over South Georgia, swapping swapping tapes, and you get back and you find that the guy accidentally gave you a copy of his Christmas morning on a VHS tape, and not the game, things like that. And now
you
we
got
just,
to visit with people then too. Like you got to visit with coaches and eat breakfast with them.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I look forward to that, because it was, you'd only probably gotten 2 or 3 hours of sleep, but you're sitting at some gas station out over there in South Central Georgia, and you're just leaning up against a truck, having a Coca-Cola and talking to a coach. You may sit there. I've sit there and talked to a coach for over an hour or two, and it was almost therapy more than anything else, and because nobody else understands what you're going through, unlike another coach. So you do miss some of that. You get to know guys and different things, and I can remember we'd load up our girls. They'd still be in their pajamas, and load them up in their car seats in the pickup truck and take off, and you'd go eat breakfast and swap them films and get back and start breaking them down. And you had you'd tablet them films, you'd write out every play. And then you get up on maybe even a chalkboard or a whiteboard. All right, these are all the first down plays, second down plays, third, and try to make sense of it all. And then you start making out the play cards and old vanilla folders and that sort of thing, getting ready for the week. And so all that, that sort of stuff has changed, and things have changed. I can remember a player was just so excited to get a helmet. Now a player has to have a certain kind of helmet.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're all good.
Yeah, I had one come in the other day, Coach, can I change this out? And I was like, what's wrong with that one? Oh, I want a whatever, the new ones. I want a Speed Flex. Exactly. Okay. Let's change that one out. That $400 helmet for this $600 helmet.
Yeah, I'd have kids wanting to spend money on visors and gloves, and I said, no, you need to spend some money on some muscle melts. What you need to spend money on, that visor ain't helping you a bit. And I can remember in Charlton County, boy, those kids would be dressed exactly how you wanted them. I mean, we had every kid had a pair of black shoes. You had black socks. You had black jersey. No shirt tails hanging out. Nothing. I mean, every kid looked the same. Looked good. And then I get up here, and I tell you, before a game, I feel like I'm the uniform police. Take that shirt off, tuck that shirt in. It's just everybody has to. I don't know, just different world, different thing.
Yeah.
But still, you can't beat a Friday night football in Georgia, though. It's the best.
Well, what are some of your most memorable games that you remember? I mean, is there any that stick out that you're like, and not necessarily a state championship game, but just a game that you're like, oh yeah, that was a good one?
Well, we had a lot of incredible games versus Clinch County, because us and Clinch on each side of the swamp, we had some great football games, intense games down there. And it was always playing, those games. And then also you throw in Irwin County and Brooks County. That whole region was so competitive. And every time you lined up to play for one of them, you were usually playing for a playoff spot or a region championship. And there was 2 years that we won the state championship where we didn't even win the region. I think 1 year Fitzgerald won it, and 1 year Irwin County won it, and then went on to. So if you're able to make the playoffs out of that region, you still had a chance to do pretty good things. I remember in 1990, our first year, I think it was playoffs against Miller County, went into overtime, first or second round. We were lucky to get by that one, let alone next thing you know, you're playing for the state championships a couple of weeks later.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com.
Got it.
Step 2, collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3, play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4, unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Anytime, playing in the Dome was really special. For a Southeast Georgia football team, you played early in the day, so you had to come up and spend the night. People said, well, I bet that was a nightmare. Really, it was the other way around. Our kids were perfect. I mean, they knew what a big deal it was. They knew what an honor it was to get to be doing what we were doing. And we tried to do everything first class. We bought them nice hoodies and sweatpants. We came up, earlier the day before and went and practiced on turf somewhere in the Atlanta area. We fed them very well. We stayed in a nice hotel out by the airport and just really did everything really, top notch, first class for them. And they really appreciated it. And what was funny is those kids would tell you how much they appreciated all that, everything you did for them for that. But playing those Dome games and playing those Charlton clinch games and then riding up to Buford and taking your little old football team out there on that field against Buford with that wolf sound going off and everything, and seeing your kids not be a bit scared of them, not a bit intimidated by them, and going out there and winning that football game. And that's really special memories and times. And rolling into Calhoun, Georgia, playing them for the state championship and beating them on their field. When you're pulling in, you see these signs that says parade route tomorrow, parade route or whatever. They've already got the state championship parade route lined up, and really you get the feeling like, well, they just don't think they might lose this thing. And our kids that we had were just like, I don't know how we're not going to not win it. I mean,
Right.
that was their attitude. Like, this is what we do. Games like that, and rolling into Cartersville and beating Cartersville at Cartersville, and those long bus rides. Now, I mean, I'll tell you what. Now, one year we won the state championship. We had the first round was at home. The other 4 rounds were all on the road, and the closest game was Heard County, which was still 5 hours away. Went to Heard, then we had to go up to Buford, beat Buford, and then we had to go to the Dome the next week, and then the next week we had to go to Calhoun and won up there. So you talk about a lot of people getting oil changes in Folkestone, Georgia, that for the playoffs. But it was a lot of special times, a lot of special games, and a lot of special kids and coaches.
Well, and you remember too, you coached when only the top 2 teams went to the playoffs. It wasn't a 4-team playoff, and
that's right.
Everybody and their brother went. And I mean, you didn't start playing like we started. We got a scrimmage next, this podcast will come out the day before we start scrimmaging next Thursday, and we start school, and then 2 days later we're going to have a scrimmage game. We're going to have played 5 football games before Labor Day. That's insane.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, the way the classifications have changed in Georgia over these years, the way the calendar has changed over these years is really crazy. It's one thing in my early years, I used to really think that GHSA was, boy, they really know what they're doing. They're doing a lot of good things, and I was really always impressed with them. Now, I'm not saying I'm not now, but what I'm saying is that there wasn't a lot of change. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but it seemed like every 2 years, there was not just a little changes. There was going to be huge changes in reclassification, and going from having no open weeks, and now you have 2 open weeks, things like that. And just, when you have to start practice and start your games and all that kind of thing. And there was a time where you used to do jamborees, preseason jamborees, and there's a time when you'd have 1 scrimmage game, then 2 scrimmage games, then you go back to 1 scrimmage game if you have spring practice, and it's just always changing, it seems to, so forth. But so you never know. I mean, and I'm not saying all that's bad. Maybe there is some good stuff to all that. I mean, but it's definitely different.
Yeah, if we're truly worried about the heat and player safety, we could go back to the top 2 teams, make it, cut down on how many have to play, cut out the dead weeks, don't have that dead week in Thanksgiving that they're going to have now, conveniently put in at the last minute.
That's really crazy.
And we wouldn't be playing football games in August. There's a way to fix it, but it's about doing what you want to do.
Yeah. Like you said, there's some things they can do better. You're going to have the old heat ball bout, this next week in practice, but come next week when you have your scrimmage, you're not going to have the heat ball bout.
Nope.
And South Georgia, I can guarantee at 7:30 at night, it's still, if you went by the heat bulb, it'd still be too hot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I can remember growing up when you didn't start practice till after Labor Day almost. That week before Labor Day, maybe you'd start practice, and you didn't have that first game until after Labor Day, to where now, what'd you say, they're going to be playing 3 or 4 games before Labor Day?
Yes, we will play our 3rd regular season game Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
And that's, in my opinion, ridiculous.
Yeah, different, definitely.
But, you got to do what they tell you to do.
That's right.
And that's just the way it is. I mean,
right.
It's just changed. It's just not, it's very weird. We're doing OTAs now. We used to not have those when, back in the old days, we didn't have those. And now you got OTAs, and then this week is acclimation week. So, last week we had 2 OTAs where we're out there in helmets and shoulder pads hitting each other. But this week, go out there in a helmet for a week and let's have, let's get acclimated.
Yeah, that is just, and and a lot of that is they've gotten, maybe it's not all bad. I don't know. I guess it's that now they've gotten the medical community involved in a lot of these decision making and things like that. And the thing is, it felt like to me that in some ways that the powers to be didn't really trust high school coaches. No high school coach I know of would ever do anything to put their kid in danger. We don't hold back water. I mean, you have all the water you want pretty much any time you want, and that kind of thing. Last thing a coach ever wants to do is have a medical emergency with one of their players. But again, it almost felt like sometimes they didn't trust us to make the right decision. What was the right decision for our team and right decision for our players? So they got, other people involved in those decisions now.
But it has changed, and some of it, like you said, some of it's been good and some of it not so good. But either way, we have to adjust. I mean, it's just part of it. And
that's right.
One part
it's still the greatest game in the world. Nothing like it.
Oh, there's nothing like a Friday night.
No,
nothing.
And I still believe the best teaching that's going on those practice fields. I really believe that. I believe your best teachers are your football coaches. I'll forever believe that.
Well, you have to be, because you differentiate your instruction. You've got all different levels, all different types of learners. Yep. I mean, there's no excuse if you're not a good teacher on the field. You should be a good teacher in the classroom, and vice versa. You should be able to do both, in my opinion. But
yep, that's right. Exactly right.
And you've been one for over 35 years now, Coach, and I hope and pray that we get to see you back on the sideline again. everything you've done for this profession, for the kids you've coached, for all of us. I mean, I hope you get an opportunity to get back out there if it's one that you deem that you want.
Yep. Well, like I said, I'll be keeping my eyes open, see what happens. But, you know, if the right one comes around and they feel like the right person for the job, I'd definitely be interested in it.
Well, y'all heard it. Coach McWhorter's on the hunt. So y'all better get your resumes niced up, because if Coach Mack says he wants it, you might need to save your stamp. And, Coach, I sure do appreciate you being on with us, taking the time. If there's ever anything I could do at all to help you, you know you got my number, and you've reached out in the past, and I've tried to hook you up with any information I've known too, just to try to help any way I can to get you back on that sideline if that's what you want to do, and let's try to get you back out there.
Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate what you're doing for high school football. I've listened to a lot of your podcasts, and they've been great. Had some great guests on, and just got done listening to Coach Harold. I've coached against Coach Harold up here at Johnson, and I'll tell you what, one loss record is no indication what kind of man and what kind of coach he is. And I tell you, he is a fantastic coach and even a better man. And if I had a son playing, he's a guy that I feel great about him playing for.
Well, I am glad you said that about him, Coach. A lot of people feel the same way that you do, and it's very awesome to have a legend like yourself to tap somebody like that. And you know, that's another big difference between a lot of you older guys and legendary guys is you know, being able to pass it on to other people and say this is a good one, this is the next one. You know, y'all won't say it yourselves, but we'll say it. You're truly a legend.
Yeah. I just I give credit to the players and the coaches and that I've been blessed to cross paths with, and because like I said, I know a lot of great coaches who haven't had the great fortune that I have, and I look back and I just think that you know, I was so blessed and so lucky to have had the players and the coaches and the support that I've had, and I wish that everybody had a chance to have that.
Well, Coach, again, I appreciate you being on with us, and look forward to you joining us again in the future.
Hey, no problem. Look forward to it.
Thanks, Coach.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21+. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
If you work in university maintenance, Grainger considers you an MVP because your playbook ensures your arena is always ready for tip-off. And Grainger is your trusted partner, offering the products you need all in one place, from HVAC and plumbing supplies to lighting and more. And all delivered with plenty of time left on the clock, so your team always gets the win. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, visit Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.